Hey guys, I'm Sam, and this is Danny, the tiny feral beast who lives in my studio apartment. Miss Thing over here absolutely hates it when I make videos because it means I'm focusing on something that isn't her. Yeah, I'm calling you out. Today I'm talking about my favorite banned books. I think banned books are an extremely important topic right now, especially living in the United States, which the US as a whole is really more of a conservative country than what I'm personally comfortable with or into at all. So a lot of the decisions that are being made around banned books are things that I strongly disagree with, especially in states like Oklahoma. I'm from Oklahoma, so I have a very clear idea of how ignorant a lot of Oklahoma culture can be and how undervalued education is. They're just like, hey, we don't want people educated. We hate that. That's our least favorite thing. And that goes for so many topics that show up in banned books. Like, they're banning books about LGBTQ issues. One of the most banned books that's being talked about right now is Genderqueer, which is about the experience of being a genderqueer person. And it would be a really helpful book for a lot of people to read if they're going through that experience. But these lawmakers are like, no, that's inappropriate. Oh my God, no, we don't talk about that. And it's like, you know what would really help these lawmakers understand the issues they're talking about is if they actually read the books that they're trying to ban. So I'm gonna talk about what some of my favorite banned books are and why I enjoyed them so much and think other people should read them too. Okay, so the first book that I want to talk about is a classic, The Hunger Games. The Hunger Games is an extremely influential book for me as a reader. I read it in high school when I was going through a rough time, and Katniss's strength as she's going through child battle royale, like some of the worst shit ever. The most traumatic shit that you could go through is what Katniss is experiencing, and seeing her strength getting through that made me feel like, okay, I can get through whatever I'm going through right now. So this book is so amazing. It's another gateway book that really gets people into reading because it's so freaking good that everybody who's maybe not a reader is gonna find this and get sucked in. And the reason people want to ban it is because of the subject matter, but also the themes, that it's about this world where the rich are super rich and the poor are super poor, and rich people are so much more concerned with putting on this pageant, this death match pageant, that they don't care about human rights. The lack of care for human rights, the theme about wealth inequality. Hey, these are relevant topics right now, these are things that are going on in the United States right now, and really in so many countries all over the world. One moment that really sticks out to me in The Hunger Games, which, spoiler alert, I guess, if you haven't read The Hunger Games or seen the movies, then where have you been? I think everybody has to talk about this scene in Catching Fire when Peeta tells the audience of The Hunger Games that Katniss is pregnant, and they're all freaking out, absolutely losing their minds, saying that the games should be canceled because of an unborn fetus. Meanwhile, Katniss is 16, 17 years old. So they've been fine with actual live children competing to the death. But then when it comes to a fetus getting wrapped into it, that's when the people are like, wait a minute, actually this is fucked up. And that is especially relevant right now with the overturn of Roe v. Wade. So again, it's these really strong themes that I feel need to be talked about and need to be looked at that people want to sweep under the rug. So definitely love The Hunger Games. If you haven't read it, what are you doing? So on that topic, the next book that I want to discuss is The Handmaid's Tale. This is a book that's kind of like a tough read because it's a little too real right now. But okay, I'm reading a USA Today article that has like little summaries of why these books are banned to kind of like help me organize this. And the way that this article describes The Handmaid's Tale is by saying that the result is a book about a theocratic dictatorship that takes over the United States after climate change and declining birth rates threaten to cripple the nation's economy. Fertile women are reproductive slaves forced to bear the children of the elite. Hey, what scares me is how real that could become. What's so crazy about this book is that it takes place in a world where, you know, it's like this main character, June, she is just living a normal life in the world, working her job. She's got a husband and a daughter. And then suddenly everything that she knows gets ripped away. And before she even realizes what's happening, suddenly she's a like birthing slave. And it's just the turnaround from how it went to like the normal reality that we know to this crazy dystopian world makes it seem so real and so horrifying that this could happen. And I never want to see this book banned because the people who want to ban this book are the people who want to make that future that the book displays our reality. And that's not going to fly with me. So I think this is for me, specifically relating to my experiences as a woman with a reproductive system that doesn't actually work very well, I find this book very like just so, oh my God, the relevance of this book. I feel like every person should read this book just to know about the horrors, just to get a sense of the horrors. And while we're on the topic of female rage, let's talk about Girl Interrupted. Girl Interrupted is one of my favorite books. The movie adaptation is also great. Oh my God, I love Girl Interrupted so much because it's basically Susanna Kaysen's memoir about sort of like her experience in a mental institution. And a lot of schools have banned this book for reasons like, you know, sexual content and strong language, which I think is kind of silly because like pretty much every required reading that you have to do in school has like so many serious topics in it. Like the main theme in all school required reading is that it's like a bummer, you know? So I think it's silly for schools to ban this one when it's like, isn't everything that we're doing kind of this tone? But what I love about Girl Interrupted is that it's so funny. It's so funny and relatable to me, especially being like a mentally ill woman surrounded by mentally ill people. Like, it's just so relatable. My favorite thing about this book is that it's sort of Susanna Kaysen documenting the crazy people around her and having all these kind of like funny, witty commentary on these people and how they're so much crazier than she is, but she's still there with them in the same mental institution, you know? Like her commenting on how wild other people are, like she's somehow separate from them or better than them. That I love because I saw myself in that. Like, let's be real honest. Let's be self-aware. I saw myself in that. Making commentary about people that I am observing as being crazier than me when I'm like right there with them. So next, I have to talk about Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. Oh my God, I love this story. The movie adaptation, I kind of like a little better than the book, to be honest, but they're both so funny and so incredible. And this book is basically about this kid, Greg, who him and his best friend Earl make these like really stupid movies together. They watch a lot of bad old movies and then sort of like recreate them and make their own. And Greg's mom essentially forces him to reach out to this girl, Rachel, that he knows because Rachel has cancer. And his mom is like, you really should be friends with her. She's going through a lot. You need to hang out with her. And that's kind of how the story kind of takes off. And Rachel has a lot of fun watching these goofy movies that Greg and Earl make. And it's so funny because these movies that they make are just absolutely so stupid, but Rachel really enjoys them and it makes her happy. The reason that Me and Earl and the Dying Girl has been banned is because of some of the like language and sexual conversations and jokes that happen in the book. But like, guys, it's a book about teenage boys written from the perspective of a teenage boy. So yeah, you know, that's gonna be in there. It's part of what makes it so realistic. Like, Greg and Earl especially are characters that are so realistically written that I'm like, yeah, I know those kids and I probably would have been friends with them in high school. And the like stupid gross jokes that they make, you kind of are looking at it from an understanding of knowing that these are dumb teenage boys and you're definitely not supposed to think that they're cool in any way. So I really like that about the books. The book is really funny and I do actually like the movie adaptation better. I think partially because it's the one that I saw first, which always makes a difference. But one thing that's a big theme in the book is that they become friends with Rachel and start hanging out with her, but they don't really know her and they don't make enough of an effort to get to know her. And the movie adaptation shows more of the depth to Rachel's character as a person, you know? So it's really just, I think it kind of like gives Rachel more character depth while still staying kind of within the theme that these dumb boys are hanging out with her, but they haven't necessarily gotten to know her. And with Me and Earl and the Dying Girl specifically, there was this group called Moms for Liberty that petitioned to have the book removed from schools in Tallahassee, Florida. And you know, a group called Moms for Liberty in Tallahassee, Florida, you know these women are absolutely vile to service workers. These are women who would berate you so hard at the cash register at Kohl's that you would go cry in the back, you know? That's what Moms of Liberty is giving. And so, of course, those type of women are gonna wanna ban a book that's just inappropriate for the sake that it's an accurate portrayal of how teenagers talk and behave. The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian is another one of those books that taught me to like reading. It was actually a required reading at my middle school that we all had to read. And it was the first time I was ever told to read a book in school and then ended up loving it because it's so funny and it's just so well told. And basically what the story is it's about Junior, who is a Native American kid who leaves the school on his reservation to go to this like all white school where their mascot is like a racist depiction of an Indian person. So he's the only person of color in this school and it really shows like his struggle to like fit in and find himself. And then it also talks about like wealth disparity and poverty. It talks about Junior has a disability and struggles to kind of like keep up with activities that other kids can do so easily, which I relate to that. And then it mainly talks a lot about like the way that Native American people in the United States have been discriminated against and just injustice that that community has faced. I'm like a small percentage Cherokee because I'm from Oklahoma, and so like a lot of us there are. And so I do have like this connection to being Native American, but I'm very like white presenting and white, just like I'm very white painfully Caucasian, I would say. And especially at the time that I read this book, it was so important because I went to this really tiny private school where the majority of the kids were white. So for white kids like us, I think it was so important to read this book so that we could see the perspective of how it would feel for any person of color to go to our school and just be around us and what that would be like. And I think it's so crucial for white kids to get that perspective. And then for kids who are people of color in environments like this, they're finally being seen, you know, that they're finally seeing a story that's relatable to them, that shares their experience. I feel like the educational value there is so important. And then the fact that it's also good and like fun to read and enjoyable is a big win for required reading. You know, so like, I really love this book, and I think a lot of the reasons why it's being banned is because of, you know, like inappropriate language and some of the, you know, awful things that characters will say to Junior in the book. Very racist comments that are made, also like language and just like themes like that. And it's like, because those themes are in the book, that's why we need to read them. Like, banning it would be doing the opposite of what the book is actually intending, which is to show how harmful that type of speech is to people. So really the reasons for banning this book are so just like tone deaf, I guess, in the sense that they're not understanding what books like this do as far as like teaching people what is not okay behavior. The book is so funny, and I think that's so important for young kids too, is to have like books with like substantial themes that also just make you laugh, because that makes reading so much easier, and it makes people want to read more when there's like a funny element to the book that can like hook you in, you know? The last book that I absolutely have to talk about is Fahrenheit 451. Oh my God, this book, it's so funny that there are parents who want this book banned and schools that have censored this book, because it's literally a book about censorship in books. So it's crazy how there's sort of this like complete lack of understanding of the point of the book, which it's about, you know, a world where books get burned, where like everything is heavily censored, and the main character is like learning about what life could be like if things weren't so heavily censored, and kind of getting his eyes open to that and why censorship is so bad. And there are people who are censoring the censorship book. It's so funny. Just the irony of that is so goofy. Fahrenheit 451 has been banned and censored for vulgarity and discussions about drugs, which it's just, you have to laugh. You have to laugh. That I just cannot get over that there is a book about, hey, let's not censor books, and they censored it. It's like, you're just proving why the book is so important by censoring it. When you censor a book about censorship, you're proving exactly why we need that book. And let me tell you, this was another book that I had to read for school that I actually loved in high school. And I was so annoying about loving this book. I was really pretentious about it, because the way Ray Bradbury writes, and like a lot of the passages and the way themes are explored and described in the book, is just very beautifully written. And ooh, I was highlighting passages. I was like, oh my God, this book is just like saying what needs to be said. Oh my God, if you're a writer and a nerd and you're pretentious about those things, ooh, this book will make you come. So yeah, that is a list of banned books that I absolutely love and think more people should read. It's so important to talk about these banned books, because what these books bring in the writing is stuff that needs to be discussed. and banning them only proves that point of why it's so important that they should exist and we should be reading them. So thank you so much for getting to the end of this video. Give that little like button a tap. Hit that like button. Give me some of that sweet, sweet validation. Hit subscribe. Share it with your friends, and also check out some of my other videos because I love talking about books. It's something I'm really passionate about, and being able to share what I'm passionate about with other people makes me really happy. So again, thanks for watching, and keep checking out my stuff. Bye.